Hello and good morning, everybody. Welcome to your Monday morning Forever United TV on the eve of the real transfer window opening, contracts ending, loan players ending, free agents available on the market. We're going to look through this morning of where we're at with every deal that Manchester United are looking to get completed this summer. We're going to do it a little bit differently. Yesterday, of course, and it was warranted, there was a lot of unrest within the live chat, a lot of concerned Manchester United fans. Look, I'm not here to tell you that things are going to be all right. I'm just going to put it across, I think a more realistic way, more than anything, as to what is happening at Manchester United. I just want to thank the people that were jumping on last night in the comment section after the show, backing that stance and everything. I can understand the concern, like I said last night, but there is a realism to the Manchester United situation right now. So let's look where we're at right now with Marcus Rashford, with Jadon Sancho. I'm going to bring you up to date on the Brian Mbeumo situation and what Romano said last night as well. Of course, you all kind of know exactly where we're at with Brian Mbeumo. So let's look at the more important stuff, what's going on with Manchester United right now, because Tyrell Malacia has also been sent back as well. There's a lot of work for Manchester United to do as Ruben Amorim returns to Carrington later this week. Questions will be asked, of course, so we're going to bring you up to date with everything and what we can expect going into July now, when the important month. Kieran Maguire has been talking about the clubs that financial situation changes as July 1st hits, what's in store for this transfer window, why obviously the big guns like Chelsea, City and Liverpool have been trying to get these players through the door before this date. This is why Chelsea made 2 signings last night. It's been explained, actually, looking at other club situations, and why tomorrow's date is massive for so many teams, including Manchester United, in this season's PSR financial year. It started to become a real hot topic in terms of football finances at the moment. And when the transfer window opens, including myself, we all look into the minor details as to what is actually going on. Why are United doing this deal? Why are we not doing that deal? Why are Chelsea doing this and Liverpool and City doing that and we can't do this? All of it starts to just play around with our minds, and it gets us a little bit mixed up with what is actually happening at the moment. Manchester United right now are in a difficult situation because of the players that we are trying to move on, which is where we're going to start today's show. The situation with Malacia coming back, from what Romano said last night, was the latest news and the latest sort of hit, really, for Manchester United to take in the gut, because it's another player that nobody wants. And that's the reality of the situation at the moment with Manchester United. We're straddled with these players that nobody wants. So it's time to take the loss, or is it? How can Manchester United take a loss if we're wanting to actually buy players? You would ask back at that question. Obviously, it's the clearest answer back, isn't it? Or question back. Like, we need to buy players, so why would we take the loss? It's not so much taking a loss. It's looking at the Marcus Rashford situation, and the decision needs to be made by Manchester United very quickly with this one on Marcus Rashford. We'll move on to him in a moment, but Jadon Sancho's situation is the most important one alongside Antony. Like last night when we were saying, Manchester United selling Antony, selling Jadon Sancho, as difficult as that is, that would obviously give Manchester United the freedom and the room to go out and buy a striker with our PSR situation the way it is. Look, another instalment is just about to be paid onto Jadon Sancho's transfer. This is that, remember when the interview went down with Sir Jim Radcliffe and Gary Neville? Remember when he was saying there was £89-90 million that we have to pay before the window even opens? This is about to get hit. This is where it happens now. Bang. Right onto the July 1st and then into the new financial year. Manchester United have to pay that. And this is all of them instalments on players that we really don't want at this football club. Jadon Sancho included. The last payment for Jadon Sancho is about to go out of this football club. And that is massive for Manchester United. So that already being counted for and calculated into Manchester United's finances is now where we're at with Jadon. Now we're looking at Sancho being profit for anything that we make on top. Well, we've just paid that fee, so it's not really profit. You get what I mean? But on the new financial books, this is where we're actually at right now. With Jadon Sancho leaving Manchester United, we can calculate this into the annuals, which is going to be the end of this next financial year, obviously 2026, June 2026, that is. So this is why a lot of the football financial experts have been going on about how big July 1st is and been drumming this into our brains, that this is where a lot of the football clubs in the Premier League are struggling and why they've had to wait it out until list date comes, which is tomorrow. We get Malacia sent back. Obviously, you get the full confirmations of people not triggering certain clauses, people not triggering like buy clauses on loans and things like that. We've already had the Sancho situation. Obviously, Chelsea had to declare theirs because they're out into the United States playing the Club World Cup. So Sancho already been left out of that because he won't officially be a Chelsea player after July 1st. So that makes sense why his was announced a bit earlier. Teo Malacia is about to be announced, as Romano said last night. And everybody gets to panicking about, my God, we're never going to be able to move these players on. And the reality is that Manchester United are going to have to. And like we said before, Ruben Amorim's demands of trying to get all of these players out of the door and nobody going on tour, we're going to have to now, and I think we might actually see, now that this financial year is hit, what we're actually about to do. We can't do anything in June with these players realistically. All we can do is listen to the talk of what might come. So until July 1st hits, then payments are paid, another year into the contracts of these players is gone. Manchester United can now start, hopefully, getting some deals done in terms of moving players on. And we're about to find out who wants who in Manchester United's squad. Juventus being the closest with Jadon Sancho at the moment, I think, is the most important one for Manchester United, obviously. And then it's probably Marcus Rashford on top of that. Malacia isn't really a problem for Manchester United. Something will happen with him. He was bought for peanuts, and Manchester United hardly owe anything on him anyway, so it's not really a problem. United could sell him for probably $4 million and still turn a PSR profit. So, look, if we can't get that deal done, then I basically give up. So, not concerned about Malacia, not making a big deal out of him in terms of like the papers were this morning about it being another dagger in Manchester United's transfer plans. Not really. Like, Malacia will get sold in time. No one's really concerned with him in terms of the financials involved in that deal. It's Jadon Sancho. It's Marcus Rashford. These are the big two. And Antony on top of that. Them three players are important because they're the ones that are costing Manchester United a fortune. Why not talk about Garnacho? Well, Garnacho is a different kettle of fish altogether because he's on the lowest wages probably at the club at the moment in terms of all of the big players that are first team regulars. And he will be pure 100% profit. So United may obviously try and take their time with Garnacho and getting the best deal over the line. You would say that would be sensible, but on top of that, Manchester United also need to get him out the door for Ruben's sake, because that situation is just going to develop and bubble behind the scenes even more and cause more unrest, I feel, within the Manchester United squad and what's happening with, like I said before, new players coming in and it just being a little bit all over the place in Manchester United. It doesn't help Ruben Amorim get prepared properly and integrate players right, does it? That's the situation we're dealing with right now. But there is a story that's going around as well, and it was brought out by Marco Alcaraz about the structure of what Sir Jim Ratcliffe wants to do at Manchester United. He admires the Chelsea model and what they have done. Obviously, Manchester United and Chelsea are completely different in terms of their financials and the situations that they're in at the moment. There was a big piece made by the Swedish Ramble this morning about how Manchester United, not so much gamble, but do what Chelsea and Todd Bowley have done and back what you're buying as an investment to get you into the Champions League. If you're in the Champions League, you're safe pretty much. That's what you do. You invest to a certain point where it gets you the quality of players in that get you over the line. Manchester United's gamble this season is not having Champions League football or any European football and playing out this season. Yes, it could and will be, or should be, an advantage to us if we invest. If we invest now and get these players through the door and get a better squad in and around Ruben Amorim, we do have an advantage over all of these other clubs fighting for the Champions League. And yeah, Champions League seems like a far cry. It does, but it's really not when you look at the situation for United. There is a real opportunity here if the right investment goes in and the right deals are done for Manchester United to actually be in the perfect position to get back into the Champions League next season. And I know you're all thinking, Adam, you're going on your positive train there again, but think about Nottingham Forest last season. Literally in the Champions League places all the way through the season because they didn't have European football. Manchester United, if we do go and invest right and bring in the right players, get rid of some of these deadwood players that Manchester United are struggling to get rid of, send them out on loan, take that loss, like I said, that is where United can take advantage of next season. This, I think, is where we are at as a club right now. It's at this pivotal stage where you need to make a decision and move forward. You need to actually bite the bullet, I think, a little bit here. Take what you can to make it easier for Ruben. Assess everything that you've got. Prioritise the main players that you need in and get them in. And then throughout the rest of the window, see what you can develop. See what you can actually get in terms of letting other players go. Possibly trimming the squad through the academy, getting a few million out of certain deals there that we could possibly get as well. It's there for Manchester United. And you can look at the loan market. Look at loan deals. You've got to be creative, like we've said. The main one will be Brian Mbeumo, obviously, as we're expecting this week. We'll talk about that in a minute. I'm just going to get your thoughts initially, just off the bat, because I feel like everybody just wants to have a say on where we're actually at the moment with these players that we need out of the door. We're expecting an offer from Juventus in for Jadon Sancho over the coming days. That has been reported. We're expecting Barcelona to step forward there. Offer for Manchester United now, a loan offer for Marcus Rashford as well. Obviously, we're now going to get more details into this new financial year, July 1st, hitting on Antony as well, so we can expect that to come through this week also. And then let's see what happens with Garnacho. Still, I've got nothing at all to find or report or bring to you regarding Alejandro Garnacho at the moment. There is no news at all anywhere for us to actually analyse. It's just a non-starter right now. So let's see what happens now. Obviously, the Newcastle situation might be one to watch regarding someone like Garnacho. Look, they're losing out on all of their targets. They're losing out on everything that they have looked at or tried to put bids in for. Like rejected bids all over, losing players forever. Maybe Garnacho comes into that. It's all guesswork on that one, I know, at the moment. And it is going to be a bit of a mad scramble, I think, this transfer window now. I think it's just sat back and waiting to see who moves first when this window does start, when this real window opens. I think this is what everybody's waiting for right now. Let's get a few comments on this straight away. We've got a couple of super chats right off the bat. Thank you again for that, everybody. Aminor, first of all, says, Adam Pogba signed for Monaco. Would you want him back? No, honestly, mate, don't want him back. Never go back, is my opinion, always. Manny, thank you again, mate. Great super chat, thank you. The sales were always going to hurt us. It will cost us a transfer window. We're doing okay, but it will delay our recovery by a window. We always knew it was a free window / season recovery because we hold unsellable duds. Another super chat in from Fran says, just sell Rashford for 10 to 15 million and be done. And this is where it starts to get interesting. It does, doesn't it? Because the problem we've got is, I think that's a sensible comment, Fran. Sell him. Get him out. Get him done. Clubs still don't want to pay that wage. They still don't think he's worth that, even at that cut-down price, which shows you, again, how far we've gone past what we should have done in terms of how much we should have spent on these players. The contracts we should have given to Marcus Rashford, the Sancho and Antony and Casemiro deals. It just shows you how far past we was from reality in terms of making these deals. That there looks like a sensible thing to do. Get him off the books, take your punishment. We've still got to buy out the contract, which is going to send us into the red. We cannot afford to do it. This is why we are looking, I feel, at loaning Marcus Rashford. There is a hope. And when you look at the loan for Marcus Rashford, it starts to make more and more sense as you look into it. Because this obviously takes another year of his contract away at United. Don't have to buy out at the end when we sell him. It also gives him a chance to play football, try and work his way back into that England squad. And to do that, he's going to have to be exceptional. So maybe at the end of that, Marcus Rashford becomes a wanted man. His value goes up. We just need to get his wages off the book. The reality tells us no one is going to spend 40 million on Marcus Rashford. Manchester United's price tag for him, it's not going to happen. Maybe if he finished the season off for Villa and finished on with a stormer like he was just building up to some alright form, maybe if that had happened, we could have said he might be worth 40 million. Not at the moment, no. And this, I think, is where the reality is for Manchester United right now behind the scenes. I think they have to be honest with themselves and say, look, we tested the waters and we are looking at a situation now where Plan A probably has to be dropped. And that is, like I said, the valuations of these players. Selling Jadon Sancho, selling Garnacho, selling Marcus Rashford. I think, personally, they could all be off the table in terms of real deals. There's a chance for Garnacho if United are realistic with their price tag. But the other three, obviously the one we heard about with Antony, that could be complicated and out of the door. Whether United go for that or not, we will see. but it is going to be a test for Manchester United now going forward. We have a poll running right now as well. Get involved in the poll. If we get Mbeumo done this week, how do you rate the work done through June? Excellent, good, bad, terrible. 17% of you have actually said, or 16% of you have actually said it is excellent work. Good, 56%, bad, 19%, and terrible, 9 to 8% at the moment. So, looking at it, like, what's there? The majority, over half of you, are actually good to excellent for the window so far. Well over 70% are in the excellent to good mark on this June month so far. And I would agree with that. I would agree with that. Obviously, Brian Mbeumo is going to go into the July month. I don't think we're going to get Brian Mbeumo done today. I'd be surprised if a here we go comes today. Look, I'm not saying it won't. I think obviously we're going to get an update on Brian Mbeumo. That's inevitable this week, and I think we will see some progress with that one. I do think the here we go will be this week. I really do. And Brian Mbeumo will be in training for Manchester United. Look, if we don't sign Brian Mbeumo, I will probably join in with the big hordes of United fans that are thinking that this actually might be a bit of a disaster. That this would be a disaster if United don't sign Brian Mbeumo. But it is not going to happen, in my opinion. I'm pretty confident that United will get this wrapped up this week. A couple more super chats in. Keep them flooding in. This is your chance to have your say on this one out today, this morning, everybody. Give me your thoughts on this July month ahead and where Manchester United are at. What would you do with Garnacho? What would you do with Jadon Sancho? What would you do with Marcus Rashford? Should we just accept that we just need to loan out Jadon Sancho, get a loan fee, get his wages covered, take the loss? The same with Marcus Rashford. Get his wages off the books and let's use that money to put into a deal for somebody else this summer. Garnacho, how much? Antony, would you take that 50% ownership model and take the 20 million up front this summer right now for Antony? What would you do? Talk to me, everybody. Into the chats we go. Ross says, if Manchester United are resigned to loaning out Rashford to Barca and Rashford is willing to cut his wages to fit into their books, how long could that one possibly take? Mid-July, August? Mid-July, back end of July, if they accept it. If they play hardball, Rashford is here until August, which we cannot afford to do. We just cannot have that man in around the club. Look, it sounds like I'm really having a go at him here, but I'm not. Look, Ruben Amorim has got no time for him. Ruben Amorim doesn't want him anywhere near his squad. If Ineos have got anything about them, you would help Ruben out, first and foremost, by just getting Rashford out of the door. No one's going to pay you 40 million, Ineos, for Marcus Rashford. Get him loaned out. Get him out of the door. And then maybe he does what I said. In trying to prove to Thomas Tuchel that he is worthy of a place in that 2026 World Cup squad, he plays well and his value goes up. Another year of his contract gone. Easier to sell him next summer. United haven't lost anything really in terms of wages, or if they've got something back off him for this whole season. And let's not forget, a whole season of no Marcus Rashford wages is a lot better financially for this financial year that you can calculate than it was last season when we only had 6 months of no Marcus Rashford wages. You get what I mean? This is why July 1st is so big, because Rashford then goes back to Manchester United's books and Aston Villa's contract ends. That's why July 1st is so important. Manchester United start having to pay full wages for Sancho, full wages for Rashford, full wages for Malacia, full wages for Antony again. So it's in the best interest of the club to start moving these players on quickly as soon as we can this month now. And use that money then that we know we're going to save this financial year that we can put into the books to buy another player in. That's what United need to do now. I think this is important for United to grasp, I think, and move forward. But like I just said there, the important side of it is this season and this season for Manchester United and Ruben Amorim in particular is absolutely huge. Huge. And they need to get these players out of the door so Ruben can start working. They cannot, and they're all going to return to Carrington. I can't believe it. We're going to have Sancho, Malacia, Antony, Marcus Rashford, Garnacho, all back in that Man United squad. Look, Wilcox is a football man. He knows. Omar Barada knows how to run a football club and operations of a football club. They know what Ruben is about to be faced with here. Get to work. accept what you have to accept. And this week could be huge for Manchester United. I would literally be going into Juventus and saying, right, okay, here's your loan fee. We'll pay this much wages. You pay that much. Let's loan Sancho out. Let's get him off the books next season. Take the hit. Accept the inevitable, probably, and what we're saying here. No one is going to pay Jadon Sancho's wages. It's quite clear. Stop wasting time by trying to get a deal that probably won't happen. Hopefully Juventus come back with something and United counter that and we can actually move forward with it. I'm praying that that happens. Antony, 20 million now, 20 million instalments from next season, whatever it may take. Can we use that money? Well, look, if they're taking Antony's wages on and we're getting 20 million for him, it's probably not the worst case scenario, not the best, but still, it's another player out of the door, another big wage off the books of Manchester United, and all of a sudden, you're starting to count and total up the millions here in wages saved, so Manchester United could actually use that money this summer to buy a player we need. Into the Super Chats again. Thank you again, everybody, for dropping these in. There's loads of you this morning. Thank you so much. Sometimes you just have to take the hit on the chin. There is no price on harmony, on peace. Without the bad, we wouldn't appreciate the good as much. Well said, Ant. Well said. Another mega super chat in from Brian. Thank you very much, mate. These dud players will make Ruben's job hard again next season. Their bad energy will remain for one more year, and we have to take that into account. He needs a full season and another summer window. Please, no sacking by Christmas. It makes it easier for him to get his message across when he hasn't got 5 players he clearly does not want at this football club returning to pre-season next week. Because that's the scenario, and that is about to happen. Nightmare number 1 for Ruben Amorim. At least he doesn't have to deal with them players. That's what we have to say with this one. I think this is more important. Man United fan says, you guys commenting on United slow, and no, it's not. That's unwanted players are holding United back, holding on to their contracts. There is Martial, how he was a big deal with United's contract time. Sorry, I kind of get what you said there, mate, but it was a bit mixed up. The players that are on these contracts don't want to let the contracts go. And look, I can see it. Every United fan can see it. Ineos, Man United, the structure, the board, whoever it is, you can see it. And you know there's no way out of it. They're not going to do it. These players feel like they've been mistreated by Manchester United. Their agents, like I've said before, who have more power than they should have, hold all of the cards for all of these deals. United, unfortunately, you're going to have to take the hit. Right now, the most important things that need to happen for Manchester United, and a lot of people might not agree with this, is we need to get these players out of the door. We'll talk about Brian Mbeumo in a minute and where we're at with that, because that is obviously the most important thing right now and this week. But we need to get these players out of the door, monetize them as best as you can, scrape together every single penny that you can, and look at what lump you've got at the end of it. If Rashford's wages and the majority of them are gone, Sancho's the same, Antony's off the books, and Malacia's gone, that there is near 40 to 50 million for Manchester United in wages alone, and loan fees probably on top of that included in that. That's 50 million that you can then calculate into this year's finances. And I think that's where United need to go. Look, just get them out of the door. You will get loan fees. You will get a massive, massive saving on your wages. Wages will save Manchester United more than anything. Transfer fees is something that we're just not going to be able to do with failing players right now. And that is the reality of the situation for Manchester United. I don't see how we, in our heads, or anybody working at Manchester United feels like they're going to get the prices that they are thinking or that have been muted, have been spoken about. You're not going to get 70 million for Garnacho. It's not going to happen. There's nobody in the Premier League that wants to spend that amount of money. Bring it down. Take your win. Like I said there, if you take Sancho, if you take Rashford, you take Antony off the books, Malacia off the books, with these deals that we're talking about, whether it be loans or whatever it is, you save yourself 40 to 50 million. Loan fees and wages saved throughout this financial year. Because that's what it's all about, the PSR books. And Manchester United then would have that money, 40 to 50 million available. You sell Garnacho for 40, 45. You have to take the loss. Then that goes up to, what, 80 million? his wages off the books as well. All of a sudden then, you've got 80 million to spend on what? Two big players into Manchester United's first team. You could say you could use most of that money to go out and buy a Victor Gyökeres if he was available by the time you've got these deals done. You could also say that would be enough to get you for instance, João Palhinha from Fulham, or a player like that. That, I think, is where this team is at right now. Well, that's what we need. We need at least, on top of Mbeumo, 2 more first-team players into that starting 11. I would just say right now, obviously, I think the goalkeeper will take care of itself. Manchester United will bring another goalkeeper in. Whether it's of the higher quality, we don't know. It depends how much money we've got to spend. And the argument between midfielder first or goalkeeper first will continue forever in a bleeding day. It's inevitable, isn't it? But I think with Manchester United right now, with Mbeumo and Cunha pretty much done through the door, as we'll expect with Mbeumo this week, I think you're looking then at your striker, I think, has to be priority. Jonathan David is available on a free transfer from tomorrow, by the way, so we're about to find out where he goes. Do you know what I was saying yesterday? I was like looking at it, I was saying, Manchester United are not going to go out and do the obvious. Just do the obvious and get Jonathan David. It just makes more sense. Like, he must be asking for an absolute wad of a contract for Man United not to be going near him. It just makes so much sense. Look, it won't be a complete free transfer. I think it equates to around about 30 million for Jonathan David with sign-on fee and agents' fees. Obviously, then you've got to calculate the contract into that as well. Does Jonathan David want to play Champions League football? Blah, 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 blah. You've got all of that to get into the equation there with Jonathan David's transfer. But like, he's a proven quality striker in Europe. And again, like, if you're looking for somebody that you could afford, United can more than afford Jonathan David. They really can. And that's one I'm not going to be able to understand. I'm really not. That's a guy there that works harder than any striker out there at the moment. His work rate is phenomenal. He fits right into a higher pressing setup side as well. You can argue, look, he's only done it in France. He's done it more than enough times in the Champions League as well. I'm sorry, but for the prices that we're talking about, I think Jonathan David, balance-wise, finances to proven quality. Yes, he doesn't have any Premier League experience, but it's a free agent with some fees on top. That isn't a bad deal to make happen. It isn't, is it? I just tell everyone Rashford not for sale and not for loan with a sarcastic smile. Then let him rot. Tell him to stay home. Stephen, every single Man United fan would want to do that. But every single Man United fan wants players in as well. And we want better players in. And we are in no position to even say we are letting players rot at the moment, unfortunately, because we need money from them. That's it. Is that CLL? I think that's how you say that. Or Klel? I'm not sure. Sorry. Super chat in. Sancho, try his hand at the stock market. I hear that money. Hungry scum, use it. No player is bigger than Manchester United. No player is bigger than Man United. You're right about that. But every player can hold Manchester United to ransom, particularly when they give them stupid contracts. They have got no reason to leave Manchester United at all. And that's what we're up against. So what do? Accept your own flaws. Accept your own mistakes. Even though Ineos will claim that it wasn't them who did this. Like I have said and backed them with several times. I still stand by that. But if you are looking to move United forward, you are going to have to accept that this football club completely ballsed up all of these transfers. You're going to have to accept it and take the hit. There's no way that you can think you're going to turn profits out of this. The profit is in moving these players on and making room to make a fresh start. Yes, you might not have a lot of money to make a fresh start. You might not, but still, you could use that. In that, like I just said there, in taking the minimal fees and just getting players off the books, you could use that and make a massive difference to this first team 11 for Ruben Amorim this summer. I think a lot of Manchester United fans would respect Ineos a lot more. And they're the big haters of Ineos that think they're just as bad as the Glazers I'm talking about here. I think a lot more would look at them and go, right, look, they've accepted the loss here. These players are gone. We've got together what money we can, and we've brought in 2 players, maybe even just 1 big player for Manchester United right now. Would show that everything that we've done and all of the mistakes we've made and we've accepted, we've gathered the money together for, and we've pumped it straight back into the first team for Ruben Amorim to work with. You can't argue with that. Monetize as much as you possibly can. but accept that you're not going to get the top whack. You have to be realistic. Let's see what we've got in the Super Chats. Also, the message it sends is priceless. Very good point, mate. Very good point, and thank you for that one. Rose with another Super Chat. Is Calvert-Lewin a ridiculous short-term option for a striker? For striker 2, as in the second striker. Good job you mentioned that too there, mate. Would he even sign here if he wasn't a striker, a first-choice striker? Honestly, mate, I don't even want to talk about Calvert-Lewin. I think it's never going to happen for Man United. The MEN this morning, I've got Calvert-Lewin plastered all over the website. Honestly, it knocks me sick. I don't want to. I don't want to say or put a player down too much, but come on, let's be real here, shall we? Calvert-Lewin is not going to sign for Manchester United. That it would. I said this last night. It would send this fan base through the roof. I know it would. It's not the right thing to do. I get what you're saying there, Ross. Thanks for that super, mates. And the FUTV Mad. I love that. What a name. We can't suspend these troublemakers. No, we can't suspend them, I'm afraid. Because in the eyes of the footballing world and the laws that are in there, they have done nothing wrong. They've gone out on loan. Both have done reasonably well in Sancho and Rashford. Better than what they've done at Man United. And still nobody wants them because of the wages. It's always been the wages and always will be the wages, everybody. And we know this. As a fan base, we know what we're up against. We're just hoping that Ineos would come in and invest some more money into Manchester United than what they already have done. It's just not going to happen, unfortunately, because they haven't got the power that goes with investing more money in. And the Glazers will not let go of it. Manny with another super chat says that we can't let Rashford rot. He's not worth the 325 grand per week. Must be given away for free if possible, just to save the wages. Fred, thank you for gifting that membership and welcome to the Members Club Classico as well. Thank you for that, everybody. Loads of super chats coming in. Let's get into some more stories on what is actually going on transfer-wise. Let's go around all of the reports at the moment. So one quick one that is in. Is that Manchester United remain interested in Fiorentina's Moise Kean. That's come from Corriere dello Sport this morning. His 44 million release clause expires on July 15th. Yeah, I know. Where do I start with that one? Really? It's a third or fourth choice striker on Manchester United's list. It's the only way to describe it. I don't want to take away his good season that he's just had. He's obviously got form in the Premier League for not doing well, albeit very younger. I've explained all of this before. These are the stories that are going to circulate. So, it's for instance, when I said you put all of them players together and you sell what you can for Manchester United, scrape together 80 million, wherever it is, with loading players and selling Garnacho this summer, getting Anthony gone for that deal that we said, to get 80 million together, could you get a Moise Kean and a midfielder like Paulinho, like Edison or something like that for that 80 million that we've got? Moise Kean and Edison into Manchester United's team. Yeah, it's a lot stronger than what it was, isn't it? But Moise Kean is just not that striker that Man United fans want. And he never will be, because there's better strikers out there that we're seeing all of the other Premier League clubs actually buy up and get. That's the problem. It's the opposition doing well and us obviously trying to improve, and it looks like we're improving. But we've said this before we started the window. Nobody's going to stand still. No Premier League club is going to stand still and let United take them, which is why Brentford is shafting us for Brian Mbeumo as well, in where we're actually at with that deal right now. Everybody wants to improve, obviously, every single season. So United are improving, yes, but it's not going to stop other teams improving even more. And the financial power of being in the Champions League has left Chelsea, Arsenal, City, Liverpool in a miles better position than Manchester United. And and this is the gamble that Manchester United are probably looking at right now. There is a story with the Swedish Rumble this morning that has said that Manchester United are not hampered by PSR. They're not. We can still go out and buy. They just choose not to because they want to do it a different way. They don't want to make the same mistakes. Maybe you could say that it's a cover-up by us constantly saying we don't want to make the same mistakes we have done in the past. All I look at right now in this is like that big speech from Ruben Amorim. The good times are coming. Things will change. Ruben Amorim's walking back into Carrington at the end of this week, and there is one player coming in at the moment, hopefully two, and that's what fans are feeding off. No players have left. There has been no change. And automatically you would go to Ineos and blame them for where the situation is right now at Manchester United because of that. That's what you're up against. And that is going to be tough to turn around. And you cannot argue with that. When fans have made their mind up, and we've had the years of mismanagement, disruption, manager after manager after manager, overpaid players for years and years, Leach is taking money out of Manchester United like the Glazers have done, you're going to have to make one hell of a transfer window to convince a lot of this fan base. And some have already made their mind up before we've even made a sale or sold a player. Some are already convinced. You could sell them 4 players now, and this fan base, and a lot of them, will still not be convinced by the ownership model. So we just have to accept that nothing that they do is going to be right in a lot of the fans' eyes, because we're the ones that are paying for it. That's where we're at. The speech from Ruben Amorim, like I said, that's going to play on fans' minds, and it's hard to turn that around. And 2 deals from Cunha and Mbeumo at the start of this window probably is not going to be enough for a lot of this Man United fan base. And that, I think, is acceptable. If you're not happy with it, I can see why. I can completely see why you won't be happy with it. You want more. You expect Manchester United to do more. And then you get stories like I just said on top of that from the Swedish Rumble that are saying that Man United are not hampered by financial fair play. They never have been. There's no proof that they have been with all of the financial figures. Are they lying to us? Are they saying that the financial fair play is there so they can not spend as much? So Jim Radcliffe's treading treading treacle at the moment, isn't he, in terms of how he wants to actually get somewhere, but he can't because he's being slowed down, hence the treacle comment then. But it's never going to move fast for Man United is probably the best way that you could describe the situation, because of what we've just spoken about, which is the players that don't want to move. They're going to rinse Manchester United. If we accept that, and we accept the low ball offers, and we take the hit, we can move forward a lot quicker. But even then, we might not have as much money to spend. I understand them wanting to get as much money as possible to give United a better chance of getting better players in. But right now, I feel like we have still got a chance of making enough money to make a significant change. And that's what I will always argue against that. In that, yes, I can see why you want more money from these players, but you've still got enough, even with these cut price offers that are on the table, to make a big difference this summer. The biggest thing is getting up that table. If Manchester United got to, let's just say, 5th next season, Europa League, that alone, in prize money from the Premier League, would be more than 30 million quid. 30 million. Is it worth gambling this financial year on Ruben Amorim getting further up that table while only having to concentrate on Premier League football? Some would say that is a no-brainer. Of course it is. And that's where that's what I think a lot of Man United fans are looking at. It's like straight away you can see that a little investment and putting a little bit more money in and banking on Manchester United actually doing better this season could go a million miles. If United get Champions League football, that's the holy grail, I know, and that's where we need to be. But it's a long way off, I know. But still, if we get Champions League football, all of this goes away. Completely goes away. Block in the Super Chats. Again, Jim, the Rat should tell the Glazers to pay up the contracts of Rashford and Sancho out of their own pockets. And the contracts were signed off by them. Joe Glazer's sign-off and all of this is the biggest problem. That man alone, my God, and the people that he employed are the biggest issue at this football club. I'm patient and understand the transfer market is complex unless you throw money at it. But Ruben doesn't have that luxury. He only has a year left. So really, you need some money thrown at it in that way, Ant-then, because he needs to actually get players in that can improve him right now. And that's going to cost a lot of money. A lot of money. Keep voting on the poll, by the way, everybody. Please get involved in that. Keep your comments coming in. There has been a load this morning. Thank you, everybody. Absolutely brilliant show so far. So, where we're at with Brian Mbeumo as well. Let's move on to that one next before we get into a couple of other stories. Brian Mbeumo from Romano yesterday, last night in fact, after our show, came out and said that Manchester United were talking yesterday on Sunday. This deal isn't a here we go yet, but is very close to being finalised. There's a lot of people who have said that Manchester United's restructured 65 million is now going to be 60 million up front. The price and the offer has always been the same. It's always been in around 65 million. Since we reported the prices agreed 2 weeks ago, I think it was now. Or just over a week ago, in fact, sorry. And since we reported that, I think it was Rudy Galletta, the price hasn't changed. The money is right for Brentford. It's the structure of the money, like Romano said, that is the problem for them. They want it in less instalments. They don't want it in 5 years. They want it in 3 years. They want more money up front, which is apparently about 60 million guaranteed. And then the add-ons they want to be easy to get. So, for instance, Brian Mbeumo has to play a certain amount of games. Then they get the extra couple of million. Brian Mbeumo scores a certain amount of goals. They get the extra few million. Manchester United finish in the European places, Champions League places or whatever. It goes up and up and up. Then easy. That's it. Clear as day. It's not like the one that we did for Anthony Martial, for instance, where it said if he wins the Ballon d'Or, it's a 50 million player. At United, that was the most laughable add-on ever. That was never ever going to be met. Let's be honest. If you've got a Ballon d'Or winning player, you'll be happy to pay an extra 5 million, wouldn't you? But look, that's what Brentford want, and that's what Manchester United finalised. The money is there. The money is in. The bid isn't rejected. It's just they want it structuring differently. So it's not like it is an offer to them, and the price is right. United wouldn't have gone in with this new offer, having communicated with them for 2 weeks, knowing that they were going to completely reject it outright. They knew that this was the right price. So United have tried their arm. Brentford have rejected that side of this deal and this offer. They want that money. That's fine. And they're in and around that price. But they just need it structuring to suit them better. And I said it last night. Well done, Brentford, for getting exactly what you need out of this deal. Well done, Brentford, for getting more money out of it. They are a club in desperate need of finances right now to rebuild their squad. That's where we're at with Brian Mbeumo. The story going across the bottom of your screen regarding Ivan Toney, I didn't even want to bring this up, to be honest, because I don't like to talk about the absolute ridiculous. But apparently Manchester United have tested the option of bidding for Ivan Toney, apparently. I've seen it on. I've seen a few people talking about it on X actually as well, which again is not a definite. But United obviously are looking for a striker, and they're looking at every single option for a striker. And there is a story going around that Ivan Toney or his representatives were contacted in a potential €35 million deal to take him. United are not going to do that. They're not going to buy Calvert-Lewin. All of these striker stories are circulating now because, like we said, it's July 1st tomorrow and the transfer window takes on a new lease of life. Everybody's preparing for it. So everyone's going to start talking about these ridiculous, absolutely ridiculous stories then. It's not going to happen. I'm telling you right now, it's not going to happen. United will not be going in for Ivan Toney. United will not be going in for Calvert-Lewin. If we was going to go and buy someone like Calvert-Lewin, then we would be going for Jonathan David. Honestly, that's where United would be. They're not going to go and buy a 28-year-old because he's free. They might do if he was a decent quality. They're not going to go out and buy. Well, Ivan Toney's even. Calvert-Lewin is 28. Ivan Toney, what? 29, 30 now? I'm pretty certain he's hitting his 30s. They're not going to spend any money on a player of that age. So forget that even happened. Loaning people. Like, would I loan Ivan Toney if he wanted to come to Manchester United for a season? God damn right I would. I would love to hook up Ivan Toney and Brian Mbeumo again. More Premier League proven strikers and forwards at Manchester United. I don't see that happening though. That's where United are going to have to be clever, I think. If any deal like this is going to happen, it's going to happen through United not spending a lot of money. The only players that Man United, I think, would spend money on, significant money on, are players like Victor Gyökeres. Obviously, that scenario came about last night where he said he isn't actually going to go back to Sporting, but the president of Sporting said that they don't need to sell Victor Gyökeres. Them days are gone where they need to sell their players. Let's not forget, Chelsea have just bought Quenda. So they've paid for Quenda, and he's just going to stay at Sporting. That was a great deal for Sporting, by the way. And just apologising last night to people who were having a go at me for saying we were level with Chelsea. I did forget the Quenda deal. So that's on me. I do apologise. Chelsea are probably a little bit ahead of us now in terms of their transfer business with what has happened over the last 48 hours anyway. I did forget about Quenda. That was on me. Sorry. Chelsea are ahead of us in the window. But I'd expect Chelsea to be ahead of us in this transfer window because they're in the Club World Cup and the Champions League. And they've got loads of money because they've sold the women's team and they've sold the hotel. They're in a miles better financial position. So people saying that Chelsea are showing United exactly how business is done. Look, do United have them assets to sell? No. Are United going to sell their soul and women's team to beat financial fair play? No. I don't think United would ever do that. And again, it's going to come down, I think, to, like I said at the top of the show, are United willing to take the hit? Are they willing to take that hit and just get some money in so we can bring in maybe 2 more first 11 players? That would transform United. If you gave me a striker and a new goalkeeper on top of Brian Mbeumo and Matthias Cunha, I would accept that as an alright window in the position that we're in with what we finished last season. And obviously where Manchester United's finances are at with all of these players and headaches that we've got right now. I don't think that is a bad window. Let's not forget, Man United are doing a lot of work behind the scenes, and I keep on banging on about this, and I understand why people don't want to listen to it because it's not affecting anything now, but the younger players that Manchester United are bringing in are of real good quality. Managing to hold on to JJ Gabriel as well, that is a big deal for Manchester United. A really big deal for this football club. He could be an absolute baller. He's already at 14 playing at United's under-18 level. And he's going to feature a lot more this coming season as well. I think he's already got 4 or 5 goals in about 3 or 4 appearances for United's under-18s at the age of 14. This kid is absolutely phenomenal. And for Wilcox to get that deal done, you may not think that it's big news. You may not think that it's significant at all right now. But we cannot forget that sort of work that's going on behind the scenes. Beforehand, United would have lost these players. There was no one interested or working in a football capacity that had the actual nous to get these sorts of deals done. And Wilcox has done a lot of that behind the scenes. We're just not seeing any of it out right now in the bigger picture, which is, on the bigger stage, which is Man United's first team. And that's what people want to see. And I get that completely. But it's not going to stop me talking about it as a positive because I think it really is a big positive what's going on behind the scenes at Manchester United at the academy level and the recruitment. Diego Leon will be at Manchester United in the next few days as well. I think it's tomorrow he actually lands in, July 1st, obviously, because that's the day when his contract starts. He's turned 18 now, which was part of the deal when we bought him. So there's another player in at Manchester United. Reports are that he is going to feature in the under-18s at the moment, but he is going to go on the tour and be assessed first of all. And if he is obviously up to a certain level that Ruben is okay with, then he may be part of the first team squad next season, which then does kind of puts the futures of certain players into the bigger picture, which may then work into the transfer window later on down the line. And I'm talking here about the likes of Diogo Dalot, the likes of Harry Amas, of course, as well, and a couple of other Manchester United Academy players like Mantato and Kamasin, who could end up going out on loan then. Man United, with Harry Amas at the moment, he wants to stay and fight for his place in Man United's side, but Leon coming in, Dorgu being there also, Dalot can play both sides. A massive season for Ruben Amorim. Has he got time to bed in academy players in the Premier League this season with what is on the line? I don't think he does. And that is going to play a massive part into who gets a certain amount of game time this season for Manchester United. Block says, Adam, do you think that Fred the Red should be sacked? 80 grand a year for dressing up. I had a pic with him and he absolutely stinks of BO. I bet he does in that little sweatbox, mate. What a way to lower the tone, mate. But no, I'm only joking. He brought a laugh out of me anyway. So let's leave Fred alone. We need some form of joker there, don't we, at Man United? We need some form of, I don't know, what's the right word to even describe a mascot? The days of the mascots are gone, aren't they, anyway? But yeah, can you imagine Man United sacking Fred the Red, the headlines? Good God, people would be having an absolute meltdown online, wouldn't they? Ineos again, cutthroat, ruthless approach, gets rid of Man United youngsters' favourite, Fred the Red. He's gone. Maybe he just needs a new suit, a bit of a rebranding, mate. Oh, God, he's crap in goal as well. Have you seen him on them half-time penalty shootouts? Oh, it's shocking, isn't it? Anyway, there was something else I was going to mention then, and it's just completely left my head because of Fred the Red. My only problem with Wilcox is he only knows the British market. We are missing a trick and not scouting South American market. Stephen, I just mentioned Diego Leon, and Jason Wilcox was the man who brought him in. So we can't say that, mate. Look, it was ill-timed comment, to be honest there. It was not ill-timed, sorry, but badly timed comment, let's just say. But Wilcox was the man who got Diego Leon over the line, mate. So we can't say that. Also a big part in working with Christopher Vivel on bringing Coney in. So there's the African, there's the South American. And he did offer the money to buy Mastantuono. So that, I think, again shows that we are looking into the South American market now. We are doing things that we didn't do before. We need a mascot for FUTV, says Leo. A mascot for FUTV. What could we make? By the way, everybody, it is the new one, the shirts. It is all of the shirts that I get are on the OK jerseys. The link is in the description, everybody. Make sure you go and check that out. Grab yourselves the top retros. I know a lot of people in the chat who have bought them retro shirts and a few other different trading tops and other Manchester United shirts, plus other European top quality clubs as well. On our website there, not our website, on OK Jersey's website. Go grab yourself a few there, and I tested them out for everybody so you could see they are a great fit, they are a great quality. Go check them out. Link is in the live chat and top of the description as well there, everybody, on OK Jerseys. Grab yourself some new kit there as well. I'll pop it up in the live chat in a moment. I thought maybe it was Sir Dave in the Fred suit to save money. Brailsford sweating it out in a Fred the Red outfit. Yeah, even he wouldn't go that far, mate, I don't think. Quickly, on the poll, we have over 2,000 votes on that right now. And where are we at here with the results at the moment? So I'm going to end the poll right here. But yes, if we get Mbeumo done this week, how do you rate the work done through June in the transfer window? Excellent, good, bad, terrible. Terrible 9%, bad 20%, a good 54%, and excellent 17%. Over 70% of you think the work so far done in the transfer window since it has been opened has been decent, I would say. Good to excellent. And we'll end that poll now before we finish up, so you can all see the results there on screen. As well, in the live chat is the OK Jerseys link as well for all of your kits. Check them out, everybody. Franco Mastantuono's agent said United, PSG and Real Madrid were in for him. At least we were trying. Look, Al, you're right about that. We have to be in the equation. We do, I think, with these players, and we are trying. We're not always going to be able to get these players over the line. It's going to be impossible for Manchester United in a lot of these scenarios with these players because we have fallen so far. But we're at least actually trying to get these deals done. And United did actually offer the full buyout, but he wasn't willing to come to United. Look, we tried. But I think obviously that should be put down as a positive that United have seen not only putting the money in, the player not wanting to come because we have fallen so far. So get to work, getting some players out so we can make some money, so we can start giving Ruben a team to start climbing up that table so we can get back to playing up there at the highest level again. Look, thank you, everybody, again, for all your contributions and comments throughout the morning show. We move on, and obviously we'll be waiting to see what news drops, and I will be back throughout the day. Again, no schedule throughout. We'll probably be live at 6 o'clock tonight, as usual, on the Monday. But obviously, we are going to be bringing up any other news throughout the day if it does break also. Please give the video a like. We're over 500 live likes. Again, if you haven't already, it helps the channel no end, like you wouldn't believe. And please hit the subscribe button as well, everybody. We're on the march. We want to get to 90,000 before the season starts. Please hit that subscribe button now. We passed 88,000 yesterday. We're already on the march now to 89, closing in, everybody. It does help the channel massively, and it is completely free. So thank you again, everyone who has done. I'm going to wrap up the show right there. Thank you again to all of the mods in the chat. Great job there with thousands in the room. And I will see you all later on. Have a good Monday. I'll keep you updated with everything. Stay tuned. Alongside that subscribe button, hit that bell notification as well. That way you won't miss out on any of the content coming up. Because if we do go up live or with a story, it does mean that there is big news coming. So get to it, everybody. Thank you again. I will see you all